What does it take to create a vibrant, thriving life? First, the sad news is that Thoreau was right. Most people are leading quiet lives of desperation, lacking in meaning, fulfillment, and vitality. But we choose more. We choose to create extraordinary lives. And the Art of Vibrant Living show entertains you with inspiration, empowerment, and education to create your life into a masterpiece. It's time. Let's vibe up. Aloha, y'all. Welcome to the show. I am Daniel Aaron. I'm your host. And this is the Art of Vibrant Living show, where, yes, indeed, it is about entertaining, empowering, most of all, though, helping you to take the actions that create your life into something phenomenal, according to your definition. So, my invitations to you are one, sit back and enjoy, be entertained, and do something with the info you get here. Today's guest is phenomenal, and I promise you this, I will draw from him some gold nuggets for you. They're not going to be worth that much, though, unless you do something with them. Put them into practice in your life in some way. Try it out. And if you don't feel like you are thriving at the highest level possible yet, commit to it. Do something about that. Let's have a conversation. Take some actions to make that happen because, y'all, that is your birthright. Now, let me tell you about this amazing man who is with us today. Deryl Sweeney is a leadership coach, a podcast coach, and he helps high performers lead from the inside out. He's the founder of the SCG Leadership Institute, and he's here to help us unlock the kind of presence and identity shift that creates true, lasting impact. Deryl, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, cool. Well, I want to jump right into it because time is of the essence, and you've got so much to share. And I've heard you say that, well, we'll get to time bending, speaking of which, but I've heard you say that presence is the key to leadership. And you work with leaders across different industries, right? And yet presence is something that underlies whatever the industry is. So will you jump right in this and tell us what does that mean about presence being the key to leadership?
Yeah. You know, Daniel, when you talk about presence, it's actually the second word you mentioned that I think is the key there, right? Presence being. Right? So when I work with leaders, we talk so much about who we are being as leaders. See, a lot of people that come to me, everybody comes to me with a challenge or a problem, something they're trying to solve or figure out or shift or create. And oftentimes we believe that the path to that is going to be, the right strategy or the right tactics or whatever it may be. And so we want to know, well, what is the how? And we get there. It's important. And it's something we want to answer, but I don't believe it's the most crucial question to answer. I think the most crucial question that we want to answer with whatever we're taking on in the world is, who are we being? Right? Who would I have to be as the leader of my team, as the leader of my organization, as the leader of my life or my family? Who would I have to be to create the result that I want to create, to create the outcomes in the world, to create the outcomes in my business or my life that I want to create? So when we talk about presence, it's about how we're showing up, who we're being moment to moment, that drives the kind of results that a lot of my clients create. So presence comes back to who we're being, and we get to the doing, but the doing flows from who we're being. And that is the place that I come from. That is what my clients wake up to. And that is what allows my clients to step into creating more and more powerfully in the world.
I love it. Okay, cool. Now, I am steeped in the concept of being myself. I speak about it as well. I'm 100% with you. And I'm going to play angel's advocate for a moment because I'm aware that for some people, When you or I speak about being, they're like, well, what are you talking about? Right? So when you speak about being, who are you being? If somebody was confused about what that means, how else would you share? Like, what does that mean? Who are you being?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I'd want them to know is that it may feel confusing intellectually, but it's
Hmm.
something that is occurring in every moment.
Hmm.
Right? So we don't have to figure out our way to being. We're being in every moment. Right? And another way to say it is, how are you showing up? So how am I showing up in pick a role? How am I showing up as a father to my kids? How am I showing up as a spouse to my partner? How am I showing up as a leader or a manager, as a solopreneur, as a coach? How am I showing up in any given situation or anything I can find myself in? So maybe a more common way to say it would be, how are you showing up in the world? How are you showing up moment to moment?
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'm with you. How are you showing up? And if you're in your work with somebody or in your own experience, you come to the place of saying, I'm not loving all the results I'm getting. I would like something different. I get that it has to do with who I'm being or how I'm showing up. So, on some level, I must conclude that how I'm showing up isn't really what I want. How do people shift that? How do you help people shift who they're being or how they're showing up?
Yeah, it's a great question. The first thing I would tell you is it begins with awareness. A
Hmm.
lot of the things that I say often drive my clients crazy. They will shake their fist at me, sometimes cuss at me, but it drives them crazy. You go and tell a leader, you tell a high performer, you tell people who are up to things in the world that awareness is the work. They're like, no, awareness isn't the work, right? But the first thing that has to happen for us to shift anything is we have to be able to see what is available to be shifted, right? Because we can't shift the things we can't see. Right? So if we haven't put any thought into how we're showing up, right? If we're buying into, if we can't separate what are the stories that I'm telling about myself, I'm telling about others, I'm telling about the situations I may find myself in, then there's nothing to shift, right? If we fall victim to believing that this is just how it is and this is just how I am, then we're stuck. And so the first thing I would tell anybody that says, hey, I want to shift the kinds of results I'm getting is, well, let's take a look at where we are now. Let's take a look at who we're being. Let's take a look at how we're showing up. Let's take a look at the systems that are running our lives. Let's take a look at the way we see ourselves, the way we see others, and the way we see the world. Because the perceptions we have, the things we believe to be true, will drive how we show up and interact with any of those things. So we want to make sure that we have the right lens, that we have the right filters, that we're accessing the world through, that we're living through. So we start there. And quite honestly, Daniel, before we ever get to the thing or what's out there, the first thing we're going to have conversations about and really work on is how we see ourselves.
Hmm.
Because so many times we try to create new and different results in the world, and we can't even see who we really are, right? We're stuck behind the stories that we've picked up throughout our lives. Some of them came from childhoods. They've come from our parents and our upbringing. They've come from church. They've come from the sports teams. They've come from school, university, right? The guy or the gal that dumped us, right? The job and the bosses we've had along the way. We've picked up story after story after story, and nobody slowed us down enough to say, hey, is that true? Is that who you are? But we just wear it, right? And so we go through life believing I'm not smart enough. I'm not strategic enough. I'm not creative enough. I'm not valuable enough. And so we're trying to create powerful things in the world from this place of not enough. So if we're going to make the kinds of shifts you're pointing to, then we've got to start with, well, what is more true about me, right? Who am I? And who is the one doing the shifting in the first place? So I always love to start and really help people by starting and taking a deeper look at how they think about themselves, their identity.
I'm with you. That's beautiful. Well said. self-understanding, self-mastery, the ability to know oneself, inarguably fundamental to everything. It's part of every great philosophical and even spiritual tradition as a key. And I'm going to go a level deeper on Angel's Advocate. One of my favorite things to do when I speak to someone like you with the level of experience and awareness you have is to go underneath to the fundamentals. Awareness. How do we get that? I mean, because, and especially like as you're talking about working with high performers, and how many people come to us as coaches and say, I want to do this, and what should I do? What should I do? Strategy, tactic. It can feel, I don't know about you, for you, but for me sometimes like, well, you need to meditate, right? And like, so you can be a little bit more aware, like, really, you're telling me to meditate? But how do you help people to create more awareness?
Yeah, it's such a beautiful question. And I smile when you ask it, because the simple answer is you don't have to do anything. Live life. Show up. Right? Like life has an incredible way of showing us things and teaching us things and revealing things to us through the process of just being human. And now it might be sexy for me to sit here and say, well, I'm a coach and my clients pay me well to work with me. So you go out and you find, as Rich Litvin once said, go out and find the most powerful coach you can afford. And that's how you get awareness. You hire people like me, and then you have access to awareness. But the reality is we have coaches all around us. One of the ways people get awareness is by doing exactly what they're doing right now, tuning into the Art of Vibrant Living show. Right? You have guests that bring perspective, that shine a light in places that we wouldn't have known to look. Right? But we get to borrow from their experience and their awareness. And that invites us into seeing something new for ourselves. Right? We can find awareness in books and experiences and things that went well and things that didn't, and conversations and friends and partners. The amount of awareness that has been revealed to me through my kids. I've got an 8 and a 10-year-old boys. Right? The things that I've woken up to because of who they are and the way they've lived their lives, they're my best coaches. Right? The amount of awareness, the things that I've seen about myself through the times where things are really, really tough with my wife of 13 years, that's woken me up to some things. Right? When I found myself in situations that I never would have signed up for, right? There was no enrollment into some of the situations I found myself in. Some of the challenges I navigated in life, there were no sign-up forms. There were no, and here, sign here and get the 3 extra. No, it's just you find yourself there and navigating these situations. Right? Awareness is available everywhere, right? If we're open to it. Right? I don't think we can avoid it, even if we wanted to. But there are also things we can do to see more, to step deeper into it. Again, tuning into shows like this, right? To, creating, we can get really intentional about seeing our blind spots. If you tell people go and, hey, go work on your blind spots, where would somebody even start? Well, they're my blind spots. I don't even know what I'm working on, right? And that's where it does get really helpful to, have people in your world who will speak life into you, who will speak possibility into you, who will shine a light on some of those things that you can't see. And that can come from anywhere. That can come from your religion. That can come from coaching or consulting. That can come from powerful leaders in your life who take time to pour into their people and develop their people. So I think the list of where do we find awareness or how do we tap into a deeper level of awareness is all around us.
Yeah, beautifully said. I'm with you, and probably part of where that starts is from the desire, the willingness. Like, yeah, I want to be more aware. I want to learn who I'm being, how I'm showing up, right? And if we create that intention, if we even better, if we speak that out into the universe, then the mirrors are going to start showing up all over the place for us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that's when it gets fun, right? And that's when we speed it up. You talked about time bending,
Yeah.
right? So, a lot of times I will share ideas, I will share, things that have just come up for me, right? Things
Hmm.
that I'm experiencing that I feel like would be useful to other people. And I do it much different than your show, but on the podcast I have called Bending Time with Deryl Sweeney, where I'm just sharing something week in and week out. They're usually 6-8 minute videos, so they're very short. But the reason I call it Bending Time is because I had this insight that that's what coaching does. That's what coaching's done for me. Coaching has bent time. Right? Where I am, I've been working with Ankush Jain. Right? I consider Ankush for me as the top coach anywhere on the planet. I hired him because I wanted to grow my coaching business, right? Very singular and focused. And I saw a lot of me and a lot of my journey in him and his journey.
Hmm.
Now, what I got when I look back after the first year of us working together, my business had grown. So we were able to check that box. But things were shifting in my marriage. Who I was being as a father was different. My health was getting better. The way that I saw myself, the way that I loved myself, all of that was changing. And now, would I have found my way into a lot of those things simply by living life, by walking the path that had been laid out for me? Yeah, I think so. But would I have gotten there as quickly as I did? Would it have taken me another 5, 10, 15 years to see some of the things that I now have and can build and grow from? It would have taken longer, right? So coaching is not necessarily giving you things you otherwise wouldn't have, but I see it as being able to take whatever it is you want to create, and what might otherwise take you 5 years or 10 years, can we do it in a year? Can we do it in a half a year? And coaching, the more we see, the more intentional we get around seeing our blind spots, right? Shifting who we're being, stepping into what's available to us, the more our lives change. And there are knobs we can turn and levers we can pull to accelerate that, to create environments, often artificial, to see more and step into a deeper sense of being.
Hmm. Cool. I'm with you. I love it. So many questions pop up from that. Let's go here though. Create environments, sometimes or often artificial. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So I'll give you a great example. So you mentioned in the intro SCG Leadership Institute. Right? This is a program that I designed to serve leaders, to help leaders shift how they think about leadership and who they're being as leaders. Now, that is not that every leader in that room made a choice to be there. Right? It's not natural in somebody's life or in somebody's home or in somebody's organization, right? They said, hey, there's a container that somebody decided to build, an incubator of sorts, where we get to bring our leadership challenges. We get to bring who we're being. We get to shine a spotlight on opportunities and possibilities that may not naturally show up for us in our organization or in the work that we do. And my God, this guy has not only enrolled me, but he's invited other people like me and people from different organizations and different levels of leadership. So now I'm not only learning from my story and my role in my organization, but I'm learning from her story and her role in her organization and his role and his story and his organization. I get to get their expertise. I get to get their voices. Like it has been a decision that we all made to come together and pour into one another's growth and development so that we come out the other side different. Things look different. We have deeper sense of awareness. Right? So it's not a natural way of stepping into awareness, not a natural way of growing and developing. And we all have natural ways of growing and developing. And my kids go outside every day and naturally grow and develop, right? Just by the environments they naturally find themselves in. Right. So we can join schools, we can read books, we can create we can create these spaces. I've been a part of masterminds that only existed because somebody said, we should get some people together and start talking about some things. Right? And so suddenly it's created.
Yeah, makes sense. I love it. And I'm right there with you. Something I say often is I create my environment and then my environment creates me. Right.
Oh,
So,
that's beautiful.
and yeah, we have the capability to create our environments. I remember reading what's that guy's name? Malcolm Gladwell, and the book Outliers. And one of the things he said in there just landed for me. He said outliers, and he's talking about, for anybody who hasn't read it, talking about people that have done extraordinary things. They've gone a bit further in whatever realm it is, whether it's sports or leadership or whatever. Is outliers have the ability to see an environment and say, "Hey, I can change that." Right? I can manipulate that environment to suit me more. Whereas a lot of people don't realize that, and they walk into a room and say, "Oh, that's where the furniture is, so I guess that's where it must be." But I think you and I and some of everybody else here now can walk into a room and say, "Where do I want the furniture to suit what I want to create in the world and who I want to be?"
Yeah.
So, how about this, Deryl? When you're working with someone or yourself, I don't know. And they realize, I don't love the way I'm showing up, or I don't love who I'm being in this situation. What happens then?
I'll answer that question with a story. And you talk about the environments we create, these incubators of growth. One of the best in the world for anybody doing what we do, I see Coach under your name as well, is my coach, Ankush Jain, has built the AJC career coaching school. And it is a place for coaches to grow and really learn the skills and develop a being around creating a successful, sustainable coaching business. And it's an incredible space filled with incredible coaches from all over the world, people flying from all over, flying to England for this school. And aside from what we get from Kush and the other people in the program, he has incredible faculty that comes and is a part and creates these master classes for us all to grow and learn together. And we were blessed a couple of years ago with Steve Hardison. He came and he did a master class for us. And one of my colleagues in the program asked him a brilliant question. And it was around this idea of being and what you and I have been talking about a bit in this conversation. And this coach, her name is Melissa, and Melissa is brilliant. She is going to be one of these people that you see just creating ripples of her impact will be felt all across the planet. And she said, "Steve, I'm into this thing of being, right? And I've been really thinking about who I'm being. And I've found that because I'm being more intentional," I'll use the word you used earlier, because I'm being more intentional about being courageous, I'm being more courageous. But Steve, here's the problem. I also see a lot of moments where I'm not being courageous, right? So how do I hang on to this way of being courageous or being confident or being whatever it is for you to be? How do I do that more often? And I loved his answer because it was so simple. And as you know, simple and easy are sometimes different things, but it was so simple. And he said, "Well, Melissa, every time you find yourself not being courageous, right? Perhaps you're being timid. Perhaps you're being fearful. Perhaps you're being, I can't do that. Every time you find yourself not being courageous, stop it." Right? And he said, look, at the end of the day, think about it. Go back, reflect on your day and say, where was I not being courageous? And then choose one of those areas. And when you wake up tomorrow, step into that same situation, or the next time that comes up, make a different choice. And that's the power of awareness, right? Yeah. If we're aware that a choice exists, we can make a different choice. And we will forget. And sometimes we won't always see it. But when we do, we can make a different choice. So I think these are easy things to overcomplicate. But when I catch myself showing up in a way that I don't like, choose again. Right? But see, most of us are too busy beating the hell out of ourselves to make a different choice. Right? We're judging ourselves. We're hard on ourselves. Here I go again. This is what I do. This is how I am. And we make all of these other choices, and all the while the choice to simply re-choose is right there in front of us. Right? You find yourself You don't like the way you're showing up with your employees? Cool, choose again. Now, in this moment, the moment that thought shows up, I don't like how I'm showing up, which was the question you asked, that's an opportunity to re-choose because now you see it. If you would have seen it a moment ago, you would have chosen different a moment ago. So what's stopping you from choosing different now? Nothing. So if we don't like how we're showing up, wherever that is, however that may be, you don't like who you're being around food, we can start making different choices. You don't like not being the guy, you don't like not being the person who says they're going to do one thing and then doesn't do it, doesn't follow through. Well, cool. What can you choose now?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. I'm with you. And as you spoke what Steve Hardison said to Melissa, I thought of the great clip from the Bob Newhart show all those years ago. If anybody hasn't seen that, I encourage you to look up Bob Newhart, Stop It. It's a show from when I was a kid, which was like 400 years ago. And he makes it so comical. But yeah, it is beautifully simple. And there's that conventional wisdom. I don't know if it's actually true, right? That every 7 years we're completely new and every cell is changed. I like to think of it differently, like right in this moment, because we have all infinite possibilities are available to us in every moment. We can make a choice right now to say, yeah, I'm the guy that follows through, right? I'm the guy that's patient with my children. We have that possibility. So I love the tie back to awareness and the freedom and the simplicity. And while it's not always easy, it is always possible.
Yeah. One of the, I've done a lot of work with Kush and there are these sayings, there are these things that he's dropped on me in our conversations that just stay with me. And it's so cool because, the beauty of working with a powerful coach who has a powerful coach is you get both of them, right? So when I work with Kush, he worked with Steve Chandler for 8-9 years, right? Still incredible relationship with the guy, right? Was an apprentice of his, right? The godfather of coaching. I get access to that, right? He's working with Steve Hardison, right? He flies to Arizona to have sessions with Steve, right? From the UK to Arizona. And they've been working together now for multiple years. As Kush's client, I get access to that, right? So there's something powerful about kind of these ideas and these thoughts and ways of seeing the world that get passed down. And one of the things that Kush has said that has deeply served me and serves my clients is this idea that the only thing standing between you and anything you want, everything you want, are your ideas. Right? So we have these ideas about ourselves, about other people, about the world. And when we can see that that's all they are, their thoughts, their ideas, right? To your point, we don't have to wait 7 years. Right? We don't have to wait for the next election and the next president, or we don't have to wait for the weather to change or the season to change, or we don't have to wait for this boss to get fired so we have a new boss, or we don't have to wait for any of it. Right? To your point, we don't have to wait. We can literally see what are the ideas standing between me and what I want to create. And how do we start to let go of some of these ideas? Like first, we got to see them, that they're simply ideas. They're flimsy. They're not as, they're not these stanchions put in our place that are immovable, right? They're flimsy once we really see them for what they are. And that's where powerful coaching or powerful friendship or powerful partnership can really help us see that when we lose sight of it. And then they start to dissolve, and then we have access. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't think we have to wait 7 years.
That's great. I love it. Yeah, and I'm with you about the one of the beauties of coaching is that we get access to the people that they are connected to, the coaches are connected to, right? There's a beautiful contagious effect to that. There's a spreading of being and presence and vibration and identity. And I'll amplify a bit what you're saying about the value of coaching and recognize we're both biased in some way, right? Because we work as coaches, we hire coaches. So obviously we believe in coaching. But I remember, I've always been an obsessive reader since the early days of my life. And wow, this person wrote this thing and I can learn from it. Awesome. And then when it clicked for me now, gosh, 20 something years ago, like, oh, this person wrote something and I can have a conversation with them too, right? And I can hire them to tell me what they think is going on for me and ask me questions like, whoa, right? Because that takes like a conversation that's one way from a book and makes it two-way and customize. I mean, that is powerful bending of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I only got a couple more questions because time's flying. No,
Great.
I've got 100 more questions, but I'm going to narrow them down. You said that it's possible our greatest strengths and values can also be limitations for us or limit our next phase. Am I getting that right? And if so, would you say more about that? How that works?
Yeah, I have no idea when I said it, and I have no idea what it looked like or sounded like when I said it. But one of the things that I see all the time in people, I think it's true for all of us, that whether they're perceived strengths or weaknesses, we get these ideas about what's valuable and what's not, what's good and what's bad. We have this tendency to label things, and it's all valuable. There's a great book. I don't know if you've ever read the book or heard of the book, The Dark Side of Light Chasers. It's written
Yeah.
by Deborah Ford, and she has an amazing analogy in there. And she talks about each of us being mansions, and that in these mansions, there are all these doors and all these rooms. And these rooms are made up of every piece of us, right? Our strengths. So it's something somebody might call a strength, somebody might call a weakness. For example, for me, I grew up, my dad was in the Marine Corps. So he was a captain in the Marine Corps. Grew up so discipline was a big part of our family. And there was a message that was always given to me about being too sensitive, right? I felt like I was too sensitive. I got it from my dad. I got it from the sports teams I was on. I got it from my friends. I'll never forget my freshman year walking down campus with a good friend of mine. And he said, "Deryl, you're amazing. Like, you can do anything you want to do, but you've got to get your emotions under control, right? You wear your emotions on your sleeves." And I remember it's like, okay, got it. Like emotion, bad, right? Sensitivity, bad, right? Crying, boys, bad, right? So Deborah's example is in this mansion, we literally go through life like labeling, okay, sensitivity, the world's telling us, don't be that. So we go and board up that door, never to come out again, right? And don't be this and don't be that. And the things that people like, the things that people value, the things that people, acknowledge us about. Okay, this is good. The world likes this. Let's give the world more of this. Right? And so suddenly we have a mansion where half of the doors are boarded up, and we're over-indexing on the doors that are still open, the things that, we've learned how to play the game. But the more of the game we're playing, the more of I will give you more of what you like. For a lot of us, it's we're moving further and further away from being our authentic selves, being our real selves, because there are parts of our authentic selves that we don't believe the world values. We don't believe will be useful as I look to climb the corporate ladder or start the company or achieve whatever goals in front of me. And so a part of this, a big part of coaching, this is where I think people get it wrong about coaching. People come to me thinking that I am going to add something to their life. I'm going to give them something they don't already have. It's just not how I see it. I see coaching is so much about setting things down, about removing some of the things that are there, some of the things you picked up along the way that are no longer serving you, right? Stripping away the stories, stripping away the judgment, stripping away the things standing between you and everything you want to do in the world. And if we can strip enough of that stuff away, it creates a path for you to create whatever you want to create, right? So sometimes over indexing on the things that we're acknowledged for, the things that we're praised for, the things that the world likes, all the while feeling like I'm putting on a show, I'm doing it, I'm successful, I'm winning, but we leave empty. The number of people I talk to in their 40s and 50s who have made it to the mountaintop, right? They've made the money. They have the letters after their names. They have the credentials. The world sees them as an expert, and they're miserable. right? They did the thing, right? And they got to where they wanted to get, only to find out that what they were looking for and the promise of what would be waiting for them isn't there. So they end up in conversations with people like me and you, and they say, what would it look like to start over? What would it look like to do something different? What would it look like to, let go of all of the things the world told me I was good at, or I've been praised for, or I've been paid for, and step into what it feels like truly lights me up, truly energizes me. Right? And I'm seeing more and more and more people doing that, and I love it. It takes a massive amount of courage, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Thank you. So beautifully said. There's a line from the Bhagavad Gita, one of India's most sacred texts. I'll paraphrase it, but it says something like, "It's far better to live your dharma, your purpose, imperfectly than to master somebody else's." Right.
Yeah.
And it's so easy for us to get painted with, oh, I could do this and I'll be good and I'll be approved. But there's a what I get from what you're saying is there's a light, there's a beauty, there's a perfection in each of us. And if we can let go of all those other things, and for you to come back to, yeah, you got sensitivity. And I'm sure that is one of your superpowers as a father, as a husband, as a coach, because you can feel things. You can be aware of what's going on in others. Is it true?
100% true. In fact, it's a line in my document. And I am that my sensitivity is my superpower. My emotions are a gift. Right? So it's absolutely true. I was on a call just yesterday with Alok. So shout out to Alok. If you don't know Alok, man, that man is doing amazing work in the world. And he was talking about our pings, right? He was talking about our vibrations and that we all have this perfect vibration. And I'm laughing because he one of the things he said, don't muck up the signal, right? That we're perfectly tuned. We have this vibration. And for me, I've had deep thoughts about leadership, right? When I sit with leaders, the things I bring them to work on are so non-traditional. When I talk to other leadership coaches, they're like, wait a minute. You talk to executives, right? Founders of companies, right? Like multi-billion-dollar organizations, executives, chief this, chief. And you talk to them about love and forgiveness and judgment. So, yeah, what do you talk to them about? And they're like, well, P&Ls and strategies and marketing. And I say, yeah, that stuff's important too. I'm sure it's super helpful. But yeah, there was a while when I started this business that I used to tell people, I say, the stuff that I believe really moves the needle for organizations, the difference between success and failure, of hitting your goal or falling short, the things that I believe will make the largest impact, create transformation for the leaders and the organizations they lead, it's not the stuff real business people want to hear. It's not the stuff real business people are interested in. That was a story that I told myself. So what did I do? I created a coaching business talking about P&Ls, talking about strategies, talking about all the stuff I thought real business people cared about, even though it felt less important than the things I really wanted to talk about. And the business did fine. But as I stepped into more of being myself, of being who I was created to be, and sharing what I saw as the things that help people really move the needle, help leaders step in and create at their highest levels, it's funny. There's a whole lot of people who couldn't care less. They have zero interest. And there's a whole lot of people that are drawn to exactly what I'm talking about, that are drawn into shifting how they're showing up in their organization, how they're leading and developing their people, how they're creating results after results after results. And those people become clients. They join the Institute. They create with me. They connect with me. Right? And they're creating miracles everywhere. But it took me letting go of trying to take on what I thought the world wanted me to be, right? As Alok would say, quit mucking with the signal, and to step into sharing what was mine to share and doing what was mine to do. Right? It's taking me stepping into being who is there for me to be, right? And to Alok's invitation yesterday, turn it up. right? Turn up your vibration, right? Turn up your signal, turn up the ping, make it easier for people to connect with you. But nobody can connect with you. The people designed to connect with you, to receive you, the people who can hear you, can't hear you if you're not being you.
Yeah.
So that was a massive invitation to me, and it just kind of backs up what you were saying.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, if we're broadcasting out a signal that's not true to who we are, of course, what we're going to get back is distorted. It's going to be irrelevant. It's not going to serve. So I love that you are cranking up the clarity of your signal. And on that note, for the people in our audience that are leaning in right now and saying, yeah, I want to learn more. I want to connect more. I want to find out more about how I can turn up my signal, connect more with Deryl. You've got you've kindly offered a free gift to our audience. Is that true? And if so, will you say something about that?
Yeah, it's definitely true. And when I talk about leadership, look, Daniel, I'm on a mission to shift who we're being as leaders. And to your point, for the people where that language may not land, and how we show up as leaders, right? To shift the way we think about leadership and how we show up as leaders. And if we're being honest, by the time I hang it up, by the time I stop coaching, I will work with such a small number of people. It's why I share thoughts online on Facebook and LinkedIn. It's why I record the podcast. It's why even with the Leadership Institute, for the number of people we'll serve in the years to come is great. And all of those people have teams they lead, and there's a lot of people who will never find their way into that room. So I wanted to create what I call a guidebook, right? So this guidebook that not only gives people a glimpse into the leadership program, if they're looking to develop themselves as a leader, if they're looking to grow who they're being so they can grow their organization or their team, it gives you a glimpse into what the program is all about. But it is filled with resources. It is filled with audios. It is filled with links and videos. My goal when I created this guidebook was that it be more valuable than most leadership training programs, most paid leadership training programs. So my bold promise to anybody watching or listening is you go and get this free guidebook. There's no cost. I'm not selling you anything. And you work through it. Treat it as a program. Treat it as if you had paid $1,000 or $10,000 or $100,000 for it. And it will be impossible for you to get through the articles, the audios, the videos, to get through that book and come out the other side the same leader that went in. It'll be impossible to lead your team in the same ways that you led your team when you started. It will be impossible. So that's what I want to make available to your folks is access to that guidebook and all the resources, all of the thinking, all the sharing that's involved and that's in there.
Oh, that's awesome. Exciting. Cool. Thank you. And we'll share with people in a moment how to get that. And as you were speaking about it, though, you said one of the purposes, and maybe it's a side benefit of it, is to get a glimpse into the program. Would you say more about what the program is, just so everybody's clear on that?
Yeah. One of the things, I love one-to-one coaching. I have a full roster of one-to-one clients. We do deep work over 6 months or a year or longer. And it's incredible, right? I have a one-to-one coach. And I'm really falling in love with the idea of cohort-based or group-based learning, right? So some of the most valuable experiences I've had have happened inside of a group, have happened not by what the person who is leading the program shared, but what the person next to me, the participant, had shared. And so I wanted to take some of the experiences that I've had as a coach and create that kind of container, that kind of program for coaches. So we created the SCG Leadership Institute. You know, we're running it now. We're coming up on our final live weekend. And we'll be running it again next year. And I've seen something this year. And this didn't occur to me in the same way when I started. I meet so many leaders that love their people. I meet leaders, senior leaders that want to pour in to their direct reports, to their next generation of leaders, right? So the executive suite that wants to develop their VPs and senior VPs, the VPs that want to develop their directors and managers. But so many leaders have so much scope that they can't pour into their people the way they really want to. Most organizations, some are incredible at this, but most organizations don't have strong leadership development programs. We expect the work to develop the people, and it's just not enough. So we created SCG Leadership Institute to develop these leaders, to help shift the way leaders think about their people, right? Think about their teams and think about their organizations, to help shift how people think about themselves as leaders and to show up more powerfully in these organizations. So we bring all these people together from all these different organizations, all these different industries, and we just go to work and we spend 6 months together on this journey. Now, I'm based in Louisville, Kentucky. We have 3 live weekends, so 3 day weekends where people fly in and we spend 3 full days together. And between that, we have master classes and we have coaching sessions and we have opportunities to just grow and engage, all kinds of resources and tools, all focused on helping you step into being a more powerful leader, creating more powerful results. And that's the game. And that's what the program's all about. So it is a hybrid in-person and virtual program. And we just journey with a group of people all focused on their growth, but also focused on your growth. I got so excited every time somebody said yes to being in the program, not only because I knew what was in it for them, but because I could see how they were going to change the room, how they were going to impact the other leaders in the room. And it's happened. I mean, the things the people in the program are doing and creating are remarkable.
Right on. Let's go. Sounds fantastic. I love it. And so you mentioned you're wrapping up one cohort right now. So for those who are with us live now, good timing because there'll be another one coming up later. If you're watching this by rebroadcast, then just tune in, check in with Deryl, because if there's another one coming up or something even better coming up, because one thing I know is, Deryl, you got a lot more service in you. So I'm going to put on the screen here how to get a hold of that kind gift, right? And I'll read it out loud in case anybody's with us by audio and not video. It's https:// Deryl Sweeney, which is DerylSweeney.com/SCG-Leadership-Institute. Whew, that was a mouthful. I think I got it out. Or you can find it in the show notes. You can find it in the show notes.
You can go to DerylSweeney.com, look in the menu, you'll see Leadership Institute, click on that, and it's all right there.
Yeah, well, and that brings me to the question of what's the best way for people to reach you if they're leaning in and want to connect more, learn more about what you're up to?
Another line in my document is that I give freely to myself and to others. So if there are people listening to this, if there are people drawn in by this conversation who are asking questions about who they're being, how they're showing up, what leadership looks like in their life and in their organizations, reach out. I'm available and around. So if you're on some of the social platforms, you can get me on Facebook or LinkedIn. You can always hop over to my website, Deryl, Deryl. So DerylSweeney.com, and send me a note. Happy to connect, happy to serve.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, Deryl, I think that brings us to, sadly, time is evaporating for us. The last question, the big question, so big it's impossible, because the deal is you've got a lot of experience, you've got a lot of wisdom, and what I'm asking you now is to distill that to the point that if you had one thing to offer to our audience, to the people, to help them live their most vibrant, thriving life, what's that one thing?
I'm going to share a quote that I heard recently, so it's not mine. But ever since I heard it, probably a month ago, I've thought about it every single day. And I see it everywhere. I see it in my life. I see it in my clients' lives. I see it as being the thing that is standing between us and living exactly what you said, right? Living your best, vibrant life. And the quote goes like this: "We are kept from our goals, not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal. We are kept from our goals, not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal. So if you have big goals in your life and you're not reaching them, you're not achieving them, you feel blocked, ask yourself, what is the clear path and what is the lesser goal that I keep chasing down that is taking me off track from where I want to be and what I want to create?
That's beautiful. I love it. Yeah. And, part of what I hear from that is the encouragement and the permission to shoot for the moon. Shoot for the moon. Beautiful. Well, Deryl, it's been such a pleasure and honor to be with you. Thank you not only for investing this time with us and sharing your wisdom, but for all the work you've done to get yourself to this point, to have such richness. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thanks for having me on. It's been an incredible experience. I praised and acknowledged you for the work you're doing. What so many people watching or listening may not see is the care and the love and the preparation, the system you've built to create what we just did, right? There's a lot more that you've put into this than turning on a camera and hitting record. So your contribution, your care, your love for the audience and the people you serve does not go unnoticed, my friend. So thank you for inviting me into your container, into this space you've built to love, to serve, and be loved and served. I appreciate it.
All right, my brother, thank you so much for saying that. I receive it gratefully. And to y'all in the audience, thank you. Because we are here for you. You make this possible. You are the heroes of the story. So again, I encourage you, please do take something that you've got from this, something that Deryl shared with you, and put it into play in your life. Try it out, experiment. You deserve the most beautiful, gorgeous life possible. It's your birthright. Thank you for being with us. I love you. Aloha.